Alright everybody, and welcome back to my channel. And today we're going to be taking a look at the Lemax Isle of Doom. Let's get into it. Okay, so I am beyond excited to bring you today's video. I have wanted an Isle of Doom forever, and it's pretty clear why. I think that all collectors at some point or another definitely pick one of these up, and it has so much ability to expand because you can get the pirate ships and the Dead Man's Point and all this stuff that really could turn into something great, like a whole pirate dock area thing. And gosh, I can't even get the words. I'm so excited for today's video. So but this one has a little bit of an interesting history, so we're gonna get into that today as well. But let's start off with some of the basics as normal. So it was released in 2004 and was retired in 2006, and it has the standard 4.5 volt power supply, and some dimensions for you would be 13.5 high, 11.5 in width, and 8.75 in depth. Now these measurements were pulled off of my own tape measure this time around, and the reason was because that info wasn't actually available on the Lemax website, and anything I can't pull directly from them, I try to figure out myself hands-on to try to get you always the most accurate information possible. So moving forward, when this house came out, it was about $60. Obviously, in today's market, it's a lot more. In the off season, I'm seeing them average kind of around 150. Some people trying to get two out of them, and it happens every once in a while. But as the season approaches, you can count on the skyrocket effect, and it will happen with this one. What can I say? It's the Isle of Doom. Another thing I wanted to point out is that this one has one of those roller switches where you click it on a little bit and it turns on the power, but if you keep rolling it, it also controls the volume. So really cool, of course, simple and easy to use, but I wanted to make sure that you were aware of that as well. So next I'd like to get into a little bit of the history on this house and why you'll see some that are really, really expensive and some that are just expensive. Regardless, they're expensive, but some of these really skyrocket, and there's actually a really important reason why. So when these first came out in 2004, the skull here you can see with like the green lights and things actually used to have like a really fine mister. It appeared like fog. I don't know the technical name for them, but basically they're misters, and they would create this really fine mist, and I imagine you would only use distilled water with something like this, and it created this really cool effect, like almost fog coming down the mouth kind of thing, and a little bit onto the dock and stuff like that. Really, really cool. However, you were in for a big surprise if you had a model that came out after 2004. As far as I know, it was only the 04s. There might have been a couple that peaked around in 05, but I'm pretty sure it was just the 04 models that actually had this fog. Please, if I'm wrong about that year span, please let me know in the comments below, but I'm pretty sure it was just the 04. Again, you never know, maybe a couple in 05. But anyways, long story short, for the sake of this video, anything after 04, it was just what you see here today. Now, very impressive, right? You have everything from the cannon lighting up to the light in the lighthouse turning, which we're gonna take a closer look at in a second, but there was no fog. Instead, now there's a speaker in there. So, it's up to you which one you rather have. I think collectors as a whole would probably tell you that the one with the fog is a little bit cooler, but they would collect both with no problem. In my case here today, this is my first Island of Doom ever, and it is a 2006, so as you can see, there is no fog coming out at the moment on this one. But again, big note here, if you do have one that has the fog effect option, please use distilled water only. You will hate yourself if you use anything other than that over the long term, because what happens is let's say you put in tap water or bottled water, for instance, any of them, it'll work just fine for a while. But then, maybe next season when you go to open it up, you're going to see like it's not quite functioning as smoothly and the fog isn't exactly working right. And there seems to be a bunch of white buildup and weird stuff that's just not right. Well, that's because, things like tap water have everything from chlorines to phosphates and, all this other stuff, calcium buildup, all this stuff that is really bad for those mechanisms. So if you can help it, always use distilled water. It's super cheap, really no excuse. Yes, it's a hassle, but you love your spooky town and it will love you back if you just use distilled water. So anyways, moving forward, in my case, like I said earlier, it is not the fog version. So we're going to be looking at other great things today. And one other thing that I noticed, or I think two other things actually, the little post here, I don't know the correct name for it, but anyway, that little post thing sticking off with like the knife or whatever that is right there, that stake looking thing, depending on which year you have, it will be facing a slightly different way. On the 04 model, it's in one direction. On my model here, the 06, it's in a different direction. I don't know why that's the case. I just, I was looking at mine today, looking at the box, and when I was doing my research, I noticed that on the 04 model, it was facing a different direction. Also, the paint, the purple here on top, on some of the models, at least online, it looked like it was more of a red color. I mean, it was still purple, I think, but it was like a darker reddish purple or something. I don't know. Could have been the photos. I've never seen an 04 in person, but it did look a little bit different. So there is some nuanced difference between the 04s and on. But again, the main thing and what holds that real value is the fog effect. So also people have asked me in the past, well, why do they take that out? Like, what's the deal? If it's so popular, why would you stop? It's a similar situation to like the guillotine on the Torture Factory. The first year they had them, and then after that they disappeared. Now, of course, the guillotine itself was there, but the mechanism that actually dropped it was gone. And the same reason. It's basically... It was ahead of its time in the sense that they didn't last all that long for one reason or another. They just led to problems. And truthfully, I don't think this one was so much a bad build as it was people not really knowing about using the distilled water. If you use a distilled water, it will last you forever. I mean, until one of those little mechanisms go out. But usually I would say most of the time they went out due to the water that was chosen to use. But I don't know. Tell me about your experience. So anyways, let's get a little closer look now. I want to show you the lighthouse here. You'll see that the light is spinning around, and what's really cool, it's like a purplish color, almost like a UV. It looks blue in the video, but it's really a purple color. And that was a great choice for Spooky Town. They could have used a regular white light like normal lighthouses would have, but this isn't a normal lighthouse. This is Spooky Town, and it adds that extra effect of spookiness. So let's continue down here as we make our way to the first stop, which would be our little pirate house here. Sorry, I'm trying to hold the camera with one hand here, sorry. But anyways, you can see he's chilling out, and he has a cannon that lights up every once in a while when it's firing off. Of course, now that I'm trying to show you, it's on the off setting at the moment, or in between time rather, but it will click on automatically. Anyways, and then it has a really cool pirate flag there on top, and a little guy kind of hanging off here. Oh, there goes our cannon. Told you it was there. Anyways, let's keep moving along down to our second stop, which would be this pirate on the little house guy again. He's got the barrel and the stake, and he's holding a lantern, and really great lighting choices on this piece. Like a really spooky glow with the green and that purple mixed in. I mean, Lemax just knows how to nail a house. No question about it. And then the focus point, the giant skull. How cool is this? Look at those lights. It's mean and vicious, and with the sound coming out of the mouth, it's a cool effect at night. Yes, I know there's no fog. Trust me, you're gonna love it anyway. Great choice. And really, in comparison financially for a second, in comparison to what you would pay for a fog one versus a non-fog one, it really is bang for your buck. You get the same skull with the same lights, except you don't have to refill it. They're both amazing. You can't go wrong. And yes, I will collect a fog one at some point, but by no means am I unhappy or disappointed. This thing is amazing. Also, let's keep going and take a look at our pirate that had a little bit of an accident. Let me see if I can show you that here. So I don't know if the camera's clear enough there, but basically he had a little incident with his little sword knife thing. And down here, we just have some more details, you know, everything from boxes to, you know, all that kind of stuff. And I think what you'll notice overall in this house is the amount of detail that they put into this thing is just unbelievable. It's just every inch of this piece has detail. There was nothing left behind on this one. And again, that's another reason why it was such a big hit. And ultimately, the dimensions, it is huge, absolutely huge. Like this thing, it's gonna stick out in your village wherever you put it, and you're gonna need some room for it. Let me tell you, it's very tall and it has a really wide layout. Like it's really fantastic size, and you know, right down to the size of the skull. I mean, how cool is that? The way that they built it into the rock like that. Super, super stunning. Now, there is a little bonus that a lot of people never talk about with this house, and it's because it's kind of hidden. So let's take a look at that now. Let me bring you in. Okay, so we're now looking at a side view of the house. It's actually like on the back side mixture, somewhere right in there, kind of like between both. I don't know, you'll see it on yours. But anyway, there's like a cave with a boat that's like crashed into the sand, or maybe not crashed, but was pulled up there. Maybe someone was hiding out there for a while. It looks like there might even be some kind of paddles or something in there, but really, really cool. No, unfortunately, there is no light in there. I think that would have been neat to have its own light in there, but the truth is it is kind of on the back-ish side, so you don't really see it all that much, but I'm kind of geeking out on this one, and that is a little bonus piece that most people never talk about, so I wanted to show you that. But anyways, so let's go ahead and hit the lights. I'm gonna put on the really awesome soundtrack, because let me tell you, this soundtrack is killer. And so I'm gonna go ahead and dim the lights, put on the soundtrack for you, let you take a tour of it on your own, and absolutely enjoy it, hopefully as much as I am. I thank you so much for continuing to watch my videos. I know I sound like a broken record by now, but the love, the support, it really touches my heart. So I absolutely love doing this and hanging out with you guys here on our channel, Villages and More. We appreciate everything. I love you guys. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next one.